Given the weather outside, I figured I would do a little video on John Deere history. Today is February 13th, 2021, and the high today is -5 here, and so I just don't want to go outside and do anything. So there's a lot of history behind the 110. Obviously, it was John Deere's first garden tractor, and that really is what kind of kicked off this YouTube channel, was my love of 110s, and I still have it, even though I don't do a lot with my 110s anymore because my interests have gone to other places. But what I figured I would do is share with you some of the literature I have, some of the things that I know, and some of the things I don't know about the 110 in the next 10 or 15 minutes, and so hopefully you gain a little bit of knowledge from it. So what I've got here, and I've used these types of papers in the past. These are called sales bulletins. All the dealers got them, or specifically all the lawn and garden dealers got them. And what's really important is up at the top of all these sales bulletins, it will say St. Louis, Missouri, or Omaha, Nebraska, or San Francisco, California. And it's really important to note that the dates on those, the dates and coupled with the location, is extremely important. The 110 was released in May of '63 after an extensive amount of development, and you can read a lot on that through various magazines that have been published over the years. Unfortunately, not a lot of people subscribe to magazines anymore, and realistically now we've boiled down to the point where a lot of the information we have is hearsay. It's a lot of people put it out there online without any type of backup to the information. They just say it because they heard it once. And so hopefully I'm going to stick to the facts here of what I have sitting in front of me. And we're going to go over a few things that I find interesting. And I'm going to start off with these two pieces of paper right here. So right here we have this is from the St. Louis, Missouri branch of Deere. It was put out on October 2nd, 1963. And it says the new John Deere 110 lawn and garden tractor and attachments. And so I want to go through this piece real quick, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. Now, as far as I'm aware, west of the Mississippi River, this would have been the first announcement to dealers specifically about all of the attachments. Now, if you get east of the Mississippi, I do understand that there, particularly when you get to Baltimore, I want to say Baltimore, there are some earlier dates of these types of bulletins, dating back to May. And obviously in parts of Wisconsin near Horicon and stuff like that, there would probably be some information regarding this from Deere itself. But anyway, due to increased trade demand, it has been decided to build and market a lawn and garden tractor and attachments. The potential market, and I'm reading up here at the top paragraph, the potential market is created by changing trends in farming and expanding suburban residential acreages. This is true, especially around larger metropolitan areas. So what we were looking at here is this is more or less the suburbanization after, even though we were, almost 20 years post World War II, realistically the acreage is popping up, and if you look and you look at in some of the Midwest states and so forth, not necessarily Northeast, but Midwest states, a lot of the houses were built in the late 60s, kind of demonstrating that a lot of acreages, like our house that I'm in now, was built in 1967, and it is an acreage per se. The new John Deere 110 tractor and attachments will be addition to the John Deere Horicon Works line. And then they go on to talk about everything that comes with the machine. And we're just going to flip through it. Unfortunately, it is stapled on the top, so I've kind of got to flip through it piece by piece here. And we're just going to have to deal with it. It has 3 forward speeds and 1 reverse. So that takes, we already know that based on the fact that we knew the 1963 and 1964 110s had 4 speeds, 3 forward, 1 reverse. And then in 65, they went to the 4-speed with 1 reverse. In this particular case, we know it's 63 because it's a Kohler 7 horsepower heavy-duty K161S engine, combination transmission and differential, and then the ignition key, neutral gear, safety starter for the tractor is a John Deere exclusive, so basically they're touting the safety of it. And basically on down the list there, through everything, all the parts of the machine that Deere would want to highlight. Get my paper's messed up here. And then we talk about the variable speed drive and how interesting the variable speed drive is if you want to. There's some really good information out there regarding how that variable speed drive was designed. I've always found that absolutely fascinating. And then transaxle goes into the transaxle, the steering, enclosed gear, shock-proof automotive type steering gear. 110 tractors will turn outside of the 28-inch radius to the left and a 47-inch radius to the right. That is because of the mule drive that is mounted on the right-hand side of the machine. Easy on, easy off, which depends on how big you are and how big your feet are. My size 13 boots can catch on all kinds of stuff get on these machines. And then we get into the attachments. They talk about the 38 rotary mower. Now keep in mind that this is a welded deck. It is not a stamped deck that came out like those that came out in 1964. And so 38 rotary mower is a 3-bladed 38-inch cut, ruggedly built, compact, and neat appearing mower that will cut large or small lawns down to size with ease. Now think about it. I mean, a 7 horsepower engine running a 38-inch deck. I mean, certainly we would find that today pretty paltry. Kind of interesting. But now what I want to do is I want to get into some of the other attachments, and what we're going to do is we're going to kind of step through time. And so in this picture we see the 36 snow thrower. The John Deere snow thrower takes the snow job out of the snow removal problems. The thrower is regularly equipped with a swivel-type discharge spout. The swivel is controlled by the operator from the tractor seat. Discharge spout deflector is adjustable. And then also at the same time down here, they talk about the 42 front blade. Easy on and off front blade, which I would debate from time to time, is adjustable from 10 to 15 degrees left and right hand angling and works from 2 inches below to 8 inches above ground level. And so this is actually a 6-way blade. And what's really interesting, and even though that these are dealer copies, you see that the snowblower appears all to be one color. And we know at later times the auger on the 64 and later, or we assume 64 and later snow throwers was yellow. At the same time, this blade appears to be the same color as the tractor. Now, I've never been able to find a color picture of this. If somebody has one, I would certainly appreciate it. But we know from the factory, all of the blades I have seen have been green. There have been some individuals out there that have said that John Deere painted some of their attachments green, which basically and sold them. I have no proof of this, and the individuals that have said it normally have been barking up a tree and letting themselves talk to hear themselves talk. And then we have the integral hitch. So this would be the integral hitch. This would be several years ago I did a video on the 2 types of integral hitches for the 110. And what's really interesting, keep in mind this is October of '63. It says in addition to John Deere attachments mentioned above, allied attachments will be tested and approved to round out the tractor and attachment line. We are presently testing for approval certain Brindley Hardy attachments. When approval is finalized, we will inform you accordingly. So there were in October of 1963, there were no approved allied attachments. Also, something else to note is nowhere in here did I say the 80 cart, because the 80 cart came out in 1964, which I may have gone over in previous videos. And then method of shipment. Since the tractor attachments will be separately cartoned in weather repellent packages, shipments can be made by all methods of transportation available to the points of destination. And basically, in summary, down here, it says, actually, I want to read this first. The new John Deere 110 tractor attachments will be included in the What's New portion of the John Deere Day film for 1964. And then it says this is the summary of everything, featuring ignition key, neutral gear, starter for tractor and mower, 12-volt system, time-proved Kohler 7 horsepower heavy-duty engine, peak quality transaxle fingertip controls, roomy platform, and full-length footrest. These John Deere 110 tractors sparkle with customer appeal. An equally fine group of quality attachments makes this new line of lawn and garden tools the best in their respective classes. And you have to remember, Cub Cadet had already had their lawn and garden line out through International. So So specifications, this is all there. I don't think I necessarily need to go over it. Accessories, wheel weights, front end weights, tire chains, clear plastic display and rain cover, chrome hubcaps, and integral hitch. Those were the accessories that were available in October of '64. Now, the reason I said that we were originally going to go over two pieces of paperwork, and this is what I find really interesting, is that even though this was an initial release in October of '63 for the 1963 110, this piece of paper right here, which over on the back, if you look at it, is dated 9 of '63, so September of '63, they were already gearing up for 1964, because you can see that by, if you scroll down here to the number 5 point, Kohler engine, 8 horsepower at 3,600 RPM, 4-cycle electric start, cross-mounted to improve your view, all under the hood. So that tells us that, and also at the same time, which I have not mentioned before, but the fiberglass, the fenders on the '63 were fiberglass, which a lot of us know, and it says here, wide steel fenders, sheer road wheels, deflect dust and mud away from footrests and shoes, protect inexperienced operators, and sturdily built, because there were so many problems with the fiberglass ones just falling off. So this is September of '63. The problem is I don't know where this came from. So if anybody does know what branch this was released to, or how it was released, I would certainly be very interested to hear. And up here, I do find it interesting. Key ignition, number 17, key ignition, safe instant start. Tractor must be in neutral gear. Rotary mower drive also must be disengaged. And down here it says these 4 features are sales clinchers and should be stressed every time. And here it is, a population, we continually complain about the reverse implement operation switch. And a lot of people say, well, I just don't need that. I mean, you're stupid if you back over someone, etc. When realistically, in 1963, they were touting the safety features on this machine. It shows you how far we've come in terms of safety, and the fact that now we're complaining about safety features, but they were sales clinchers in 1963. As far as I know, not very many sales books say the RIO switch is a sales clincher. But one thing I did want to go ahead and mention, where we're talking about attachments, is also at the same date, for that October 2nd, 1963, we have a release for the number 7 sprayer. Now, the number 7 sprayer was not covered in this original brochure or original sales release that I went through, which I would imagine that and I don't have any proof of this either, but I don't think the 7 sprayer was offered before October of '63. And in fact, if we flip it over, it should give us, oh no, this is the wrong one, but we typically get some type of date of when it's going to be available. But the 7 sprayer, if you want to, you can go back and look at my video on the 7 sprayer that I released several weeks ago, or actually several months ago, sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a few more things out of this binder that I have next to me, and we're going to go ahead and look at 1964. All right, so the previous brochure that we looked at was in October of 1963. Here we have another brochure, or another sales bulletin dated December 4th of 1963. And this is the new 110 lawn and garden tractor and attachments for 1964. So this is the updates, all the updates that the 1964 110 would bring from the 1963. And at the same time, the first time we see the stamped deck and the marketing pictures. Previously, all the marketing pictures were done with the fabricated deck that has the very square edges. Now, what I find interesting about this group of sales bulletins, it's much more in depth in terms of marketing to the consumer. And I've always found this page very, very fascinating. So market potential, some of you may ask, where is the market potential? Who is the potential customer? Why do they purchase riding tractors, and do only the more wealthy folks buy them? Now, obviously, this last one nowadays is, I think a lot of people can afford 110s. They couldn't at the time. And I've covered price in the previous in many previous John Deere history videos, but basically the price of a 1963 or 64 110 or a round fender in general in today's money would be about $10,000 or $11,000 depending on what dates you choose. So we're talking about $10,000 or $11,000 in today's money to buy the same machine, and you have to think to yourself, would you spend it? If you're buying an X748 or an X758, are you going to spend that $12,000 or $13,000 for the diesel engine, the four-wheel drive, the 60-inch deck? Think about the value you're getting. So the market potential is where people live, predominantly in suburban areas, and particularly the new residential areas having larger lawns. In fact, there's a market wherever there's lawn to mow, spray, reseed, fertilize, snow to move, handle or transport, and gardens to plow, till, plant, cultivate, or fertilize, and many other uses in the suburban, urban, and rural areas wherever a tractor of this size and line of power tools will eliminate human effort. And then it goes on to talk about potential customers. Why do people buy? Do only more wealthy folks buy them? No, our survey of experience has shown that the major portion are purchased by those having incomes ranging from $5,000 to $15,000 annually. Now, I would have to sit down with an inflation calculator to figure out what that is in today's money. And these are majority of wage earners who offer the greatest potential market. So then it goes on to tractor features. And then more and more features and outside radius. So now the turn radius for the automotive type steering, actually the radius changed quite a bit. Now we're at 30.5 inches to the left and 55 inches to the right whenever the mower is installed. And this is something really interesting. A lot of people complain about it. Fiberglass hood is far more costly to produce, offers better quality material, and retain a neat appearance. Others have steel hoods that get scratched from low-hanging limbs, rose bushes that causing rust and impairs appearance. Our fiberglass hood also muffles engine noise. Heavy-duty steel fenders, and this is the 8 horsepower Kohler engine, and then 12-volt electrical system and large gas tank. And then much similar to what we went through in 1963, it talks about the transaxle, which is still 3 forward and 1 reverse gear. Parking brake, long left lever, because this was a redesign. The left lever was a redesign from 1963. They moved the location from here right underneath the hood all the way down to the bottom to give you a little bit more force on lifting the machine up or lifting the deck up. Front attachment mounting bracket, so on and so forth, gears, and then they talk about the warranty. This warranty paperwork is very interesting. I've got a little bit of data on that. And then these are probably the coolest, these tractors, these hand-drawn tractors, or design drawings, I don't know what you call them, I think are probably some of the coolest things out there. And then in 64 is when you could actually get into some of the different tire options. A lot of people think that all the early 110s came with skinny tires. They did not. There were many tire options, even starting as early as, let me see here. I got something around here. Starting, yeah, so this is the tire options, so starting in December of 63. So the deck, the rotary deck, so this is still a 38 deck, but notice that it is a stamped deck. It is a one-piece curved design of a mower deck, which eliminates corners, promotes good flow of material. We also have the snow thrower right here. And then we have the 5 sprayer. Now you keep in mind that the 5 sprayer had actually been out since 1962. However, it was a handled sprayer prior to 1964. Now, I'm sure that there were some modifications done, and people in 1963 pulled the sprayer. We have the 7 sprayer right here, and it talks about the 7 sprayer, which we previously reviewed. You have the blade, the width of cut, angles, tilts, etc. They did not specify the tilting in the previous blade, but you can see here now the blades are yellow. Then we have the single pin integral hitch. And then it goes through all the weights, tire chains, drawbar extension for 64, which you'd no longer needed in 65. Or 66, can't remember. And here's where we get into allied attachments. So from October to December, they approved various allied attachments. And I'm sure this video is going to be close to 20 minutes when I get done. Order this group of approved allied attachment from Brindley Hardy Company, and basically it gets into all of the allied attachments. So you have I can't remember what that's called right there. So you've got the plows, the rotary rakes, the garden cart. You've got the garden planer, the disc. Got the spring tooth, furrow openers, toolbar. Then you got the sun top, the winter enclosure. Now this is the soft side winter enclosure. I'm not sure about the history of the cozy cab for the 110s. That's something that I don't have a lot of data to support in terms of when it came out. We have the Snowco utility trailer, which I think is just amazing. And then we have how it was shipped. I would love to have one of these boxes, and there are some of the boxes still out there. And at the same time, other John Deere and allied attachments will be announced and approved for use with the 110 tractor in the future. We're processing and hope to be able to announce in time for spring use all or some of the following: a 540 RPM PTO attachment, a front rotary mower, a front reel mower, a rear gang mower, a two-wheel dump cart, that would become known as the 80 cart, a sickle bar mower, a front-end loader, a rototiller, a roller, and a spiker aerator. And then announcements, displays, etc. Kind of cool, right? So there's that. And I figured I would stop there because that takes us up to 1964. And what we'll do in the next video is we will talk about... So here is just a preview, the new PTO attachment, which is in June of '64. And what we're going to do in the next video is we're going to talk about '65. And we're going to talk about specifically some of the things they added in '65 and the attachments you get in '65. So hopefully this video was informative, and the next part we'll talk about 1965, and we may talk about 1966. I think I've covered '66 in previous videos, but I'm not completely sure about that, and so that's something I'll have to dig into and see if I'm recreating information. But thanks for watching.